Hi everybody, it's your girl Mercedes, aka the Melanated Mompreneur, and I'm back for the last video of 2020. So get ready because it's going to be a good one. Everyone who's new, welcome to my YouTube channel. And if you're already a member, thank you for subscribing. I want to encourage all of you to please like and subscribe and share this video. All right, so let's get into it. Today we are talking about the postpartum period, or the fourth trimester. So this will be a part of the pregnancy journey series. If you haven't seen those videos, then I encourage you to go ahead and watch those first, and then come back and watch this one. So I'm here, I'm comfortable, relaxed. I have my hand mask and a glass of ginger ale. The postpartum period is also called the fourth trimester. And it starts right after you deliver your baby and goes up until your baby is about 12 weeks old. So I'm going to talk about my experience in the fourth trimester, different things that I feel I did well, and maybe things I recommend doing differently. So first, I noticed that right after I gave birth by C-section, I was very drained and tired. I was so fatigued, and thankfully the nurses were able to care for my baby while I was in the immediate recovery period. My baby ended up having to go to the neonatal ICU, or the NICU. And at first I was really sad about that, but then I realized it gave me a few days to get myself together, clear my head, and prepare for us to go home. So in the end, it was actually very helpful. But pain medication was needed, very much so, in that first 14 days while I was still in the hospital, and then once we got home from the hospital. And I would say the most painful thing was where the C-section incision was. So if you're a mom who is planning on having a C-section, maybe for medical reasons, just know that you will have some pain. It'll be difficult to kind of get up and down, and you'll need assistance doing that at first. So when we first got home, we had our room prepared for me and the baby, but I couldn't even get on the bed. So I just stayed on the couch, and we brought the bassinet into the living room because the couch was a lot lower than the bed. And then my energy, I want to say for the first 4 weeks, was just really low. And not in a depressive level, not to that level, but the normal go-getter energy that I have was not present. So I really had to take it slow, and I really had to take my time doing everything. And I really had to be okay with some things just not getting done. I also noticed that I had a brain fog. It was kind of like a cloud was over my thoughts, and I couldn't think clearly. And reflecting back, I was talking to my boyfriend about it this morning. His name is D, so I'll just say his name from now on. I was talking to D about it, and I said, I think it would have been great if I had just given him the information so that he could pay all the bills for myself and the business. And my bills that are separate from his. And so I think that would have taken a lot off of my plate. So I would recommend, if you don't already, share finances or anything like that, like having someone you trust to take that off your plate, because you really just have enough energy to care for yourself and for your newborn baby. The next thing that I did that really helped me, which is a big thing, and everyone most moms make a big deal of this is, getting your pre-pregnancy body back. So I want to just put a disclaimer. I don't think that, new moms need to be trying to exercise. In fact, you're not allowed, especially if you had a C-section. You're not allowed to pick up anything heavier than your baby. And that's because you can actually cause wound dehiscence, which is opening of your wound, and you don't want that. And then if you had a vaginal delivery, you can injure yourself as well. So you don't want to be doing any type of exercise. So that encouragement from media and all of that to snap back and get snatched, I would say throw that out of your mind. However, you can start taking some strides with your eating habits that will help prepare you when it's time for you to, when you're ready and your body's ready to start exercising again. So for me, it was key for me to get back to my pre-pregnancy eating habits, because during pregnancy, I was eating bacon, turkey sausage, cereal, waffles. So I didn't necessarily try to give all of that up, but I wanted to make a slow progression back to where I was before. So thankfully, I had already established with a doula who, I don't know if you watched my first interview for the channel, but I encourage you to go watch that as well. Nia Wade is a doula. She owns Birthing Journeys, and she offered me postpartum services. So I was one of her first postpartum clients. And so what she offers in her services include meal prep, lactation support. She will come over and care for the baby for you when you need a break, and she will help do things around your house and if you need a break. And so that was really helpful. And so we put together a package that worked for me. So I did the lactation support and the meal service. And when I say that was a godsend, y'all, if you are in the South Houston area, League City, between League City, Pearland, Missouri City, all that, if you are looking for, someone who's really going to care for you and your family and your new baby, you need to seek out Nia Wade. She was truly amazing. She cooked meals not just for me, but also for Dee. And we didn't have to think about that side of things, trying to wrap our heads around, okay, we have this new life in the house, and then we have to take care of it and learning how to do all of that. So that was a godsend. She put together a menu that worked for both of us, and the food was delicious. The delivery was timely. So that whole first 4 weeks for me, she cooked and I didn't have to think about anything. And that was such a big deal. And then she came over a couple of times because I wanted to breastfeed. So learning how to breastfeed was key. So some babies and some moms naturally just get it, and others need time. So my baby, she knew how to latch. That was good. But the issue is that she would do a shallow latch. She would fall asleep while she was breastfeeding. And so we had to work through those things. And I'll do a whole separate video on breastfeeding. But that's a part of the postpartum period. Learning how to breastfeed and how to care for your breast and care for the baby. And so Nia came over, she got hands on, she worked with the baby, she worked with me. We even watched a couple YouTube videos, and it was fun, but it helped so much because after her 2 sessions with us, we did great after that. So that really helped me. And the food that she made me, I want to go back to that for a second, because I was talking about pre-pregnancy eating habits. The food that she made me was vegetarian, plant-based, but it was like food that you would enjoy. So we came up with stuffed bell peppers, and she used cauliflower rice, which I didn't even know. She made shrimp fried rice instead of rice. She used cauliflower, and y'all, it was enjoyable. And she made she got these little pieces of lettuce to use as wraps for the shrimp. And then we had a couple of other dishes. So there were some plant-based dishes, some not plant-based dishes, but it was all delicious and healthy. Okay. So then let's talk about the body changes. That's another big thing that moms go through. So that would be the bleeding. I know I have friends that are pregnant, and a couple of them have asked me about that. So the bleeding for me wasn't a big deal. I think it depends on what you've experienced with your periods before. So if you're a person that has heavy periods normally, then this bleeding won't be more than that. But if you're someone who has moderate to light periods, this will be a little bit more than that. So I had bleeding for about 4 weeks, and it tapered down. It wasn't heavy the whole 4 weeks. It was heavy in the beginning, first couple of weeks, and then tapered down and pretty much gone by 12 weeks. So for that, I had the always adult diapers. Moms, you're not going to want to put on underwear and try to put on a pad in the middle of the night. No. You slip those on, you keep it moving. On, off. You don't have time to wash underwear and all that. But I will say, when you're at the hospital, after you deliver your baby, they're going to be bringing you some of everything. Get the mesh underwear, because you can use pads in those, and then you can just toss them. Get more pads. Get the bath wipes. And this may seem nasty, but as a new mom, sometimes you're not even going to have the energy to take a whole shower or a whole bath. And that's not being disgusting, like your energy level is just not there. So get the bath wipe so you can, touch the hot spots and keep it moving until you get yourself energized enough to do your normal routine. So you will have to modify your routines to now your new energy level, because you're recovering. You just had a whole baby. You lost a lot of fluid, and if you had any complications, you may have had bleeding as well, or other complications. All right, then the cramping. So the cramping also wasn't that bad to me, because again, I'm used to really bad cramping with my periods. So every time I breastfed, I cramped a little bit. And then randomly throughout the day. It's not like period cramps. And there aren't the hormonal changes that you have with your periods either. The next thing was the GI symptoms. So I had some hemorrhoids during pregnancy. No, that's also not pleasant to discuss, but they don't just go away. And remember, when they send you home on the pain medication, it is an opiate. So that makes whatever constipation you already had even worse. And so right after, I want to say the first 2 or 3 days, once I got home, the hemorrhoids just got so bad. So I use Tux. They're these little pads. They come in a white and blue box. I got it off Amazon. Y'all, lifesaver godsend. You can just use that to wipe right after you had a BM. It soothes the hemorrhoids, and then you can go you can sit down pleasantly after that. And other things I did was, of course, continue to take a stool softener and Miralax as needed. But there's some supplements you can do if you don't want to use those medications. You can use fish oil, get the slippage, and then you can use turmeric. It helps with GI upset. And then fluid, so swelling. So remember, you had all this fluid in your belly, and then right as you're getting closer to delivering in the 3rd trimester, your body's storing more fluid. So once the baby is out, all of the fluid doesn't leave with the baby. I know it might seem like it, but a lot of it stays in you and has to get reabsorbed, and then you have to urinate it out. So that takes a few days. I had one leg that was like really swollen. It looked like I had 2 different size legs. And yeah, so look out for that swelling and just pay attention to it. If you notice any pain or redness with that, of course you need to immediately contact your doctor. And then overall, I just felt weak. It was like something left me, and it did. My baby came out of my body. And that's an emotional experience and a physical experience, and something has left you. And for me, I guess I needed a few weeks to just come to terms with that, because there was such a spiritual and emotional connection with the baby being in my womb. And then when she was delivered, I didn't have that anymore. But that's normal. So now we make our new connection with her on the outside, which I actually much prefer. And then bonding with the baby. So that's a little tricky, because early on you're trying to care for yourself. And I guess for me, it was different because we were in a pandemic, and I was going to try not to bring it up. But the truth of the matter is, it meant I couldn't have as many family members that I would like helping with the baby. So it was just me and D, and we were okay. But he was working those first few weeks on his shift work, and so he was not there for 24 hours. When he was there, he was helping with the baby and everything, but then there would be 12 hours where I'd be by myself. So I just took it easy. I decided to begin with kindness. I didn't have all the emotions and all of the connection yet with the baby, but I said, you know what, I want to be kind to myself and kind to the baby. That was a good start. I'm going to just take it one day at a time, because I guess the biggest thing is you have this overwhelming sense of tending to yourself, but then you have this person that's helpless. So you have to feed them and change their diaper and help them go to sleep and help them wake up. So help them adjust to this new outside world. And I'm not going to lie, that's a lot. That's a big responsibility. So there were moments where I just was like, man, I am so tired. I am exhausted. And now the baby's crying. So when I had those moments, I would say to myself, let's start with kindness. If you were this baby, how would you want to be treated? You don't have to jump for joy every time the baby needs something, but you need to feel that sense of responsibility that you have now. And so if you're able to have someone there, if you can get a parent or a friend who can stay over, if let's say your spouse or significant other has to go to work, if you have someone that you trust, if they can stay over due to the coronavirus restrictions, that would be something I recommend. Looking back, if we could have had his mom just stay with us, I would have loved to do that. But she has her own life, and so that wasn't possible. And then before the 12 weeks was up for me, I had to go back to work. So I actually started working from home 2 weeks after I delivered the baby. And that was cool. It gave me something to do once I was, out of that initial recovery period. And it helped liven my spirits and get me back to myself. So for you, that might not be work. It might be something else. I enjoy my work, so it helped me just to bring me back to myself. And that helped me bond with the baby. So then after 7 to 8 weeks, I went back to work full time, because I have a business, and my manager at my business, she was now going on her maternity leave, and so the timing was perfect. So I did have a good time bonding with the baby. So by 4 weeks, I really started to enjoy the time with the baby. She was a little bit older, she was more attentive, more interactive, and then I had to go back to work. So I think the first day was hard. I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, what am I gonna do without my baby. But once I got to work, I was like, okay, I got a lot to do, so let me get into it. And so I spent the day, you know, focusing on, okay, this is my business. I want it to work. I want it to succeed because I want to leave my daughter a legacy. And so I used the times where I would be pumping to kind of think about her, even call her up on the FaceTime, so that I could still have that connection with her during the day. And speaking of that, thankfully we were able to have Darren's mom come and care for her. Due to the pandemic, her work situation changed and she had more time, so she's able to care for the baby during the day. And I think it helps her. She looks forward to it because all of our lives have changed during this time, so it gives her something to look forward to. And then I know that my baby is in probably the best hands ever outside of me and her dad. All right, and then let's see what else. All right, the other thing I did was I kept my follow-ups with my OBGYN. That's key. So remember, you're in the 4th trimester. Everything's not over just because you've delivered the baby. You can still have pregnancy-induced hypertension. You can still have other complications. Some even up to a year after the baby has been delivered. But those first 6 to 8 weeks is key. That's also the time when, if you're going to start birth control or get some kind of long-acting reversible contraceptive like an IUD or a Nexplanon, that's the time to do it. And I'm not going to go into detail about that in any of the videos on my channel because it's outside of the scope. But I will say that is a conversation that I encourage you to have with your healthcare provider, whether it's a physician or a midwife. And even your doula can help input in that conversation. And then lastly, I gave myself permission to rest. With everything that literally just changed in our lives, we need to sleep. Sleep is where you recover, even though it's hard to get that sleep in the beginning because the baby has to get up and eat at night. But while I was at home, I gave myself permission to just sleep. Stay, you know, the old saying, sleep when the baby sleeps. And that's what I did. And that's how I got through the 4th trimester. And Nyla just made 12 weeks last week. So I just finished the 4th trimester and I noticed that the brain fog has finally cleared. My energy level is not completely back to where I was before, but it's much closer. We've got breastfeeding down. I pump during the day at work. The bleeding is gone and I feel healthy. I'm eating well and my body is doing well. So as far as exercise, I have not started that except for walking. We'll take walks as a family. That's what I do. I'm not going back to the gym right now. I'm not lifting any weights heavier than the baby right now. I'm just focusing on my diet, my mental health, my energy level, because I can always go to the gym and work out and get my body. But, you know, that place for your mental health and your eating, that's just a sensitive period. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge that time. So thank you so much for watching. The next time I see you, it will be the new year. So I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I wish all of you many blessings in 2021. Bye-bye.